911, what's that? Said emergency.
So, RDU, Air Traffic Control FAA, just called. And advised they had a small plane inbound and the co-pilot jumped out.
The co-pilot jumped out?
Airport emergency.
Hey, this is Karl Police Department.
Yeah.
Hey, did you have someone from that plane jump out?
Do you have any identifying information for that subject?
Listen, all we know is when the pilot reported it, we looked at the latitude, longitude, and it was roughly over the Westlake Middle School general area where they said that the person left the aircraft. We're not sure exactly where, but it's kind of that area.
The NTSB is just beginning to shed light on the mystery surrounding why the co-pilot of a Cessna 212 parachute jump plane suddenly jumped without a parachute from the aircraft while it was on emergency descent to Raleigh-Durham International Airport after suffering landing gear damage that the co-pilot may have unintentionally caused during a landing attempt at the jump aircraft's home base, which caused a diversion to Raleigh-Durham about 30 miles away. On Tuesday, August 16th, the NTSB released a preliminary report which reveals that the two pilots had been flying skydiving runs out of Rayford West Airport earlier in the day. They were on a final approach at the small airport to pick up more skydivers for a third run when Crooks at the controls of the aircraft suffered the hard landing. So hard, in fact, it severely damaged the landing gear. The NTSB report stated that Crooks was flying the approach when the aircraft, quote, dropped, and both pilots called for a go-around. But unfortunately, before Crooks could initiate a climb, the right main landing gear impacted the runway, eventually causing the wheel to fall off the aircraft. It was at that point that the NTSB stated the other pilot assumed the flight controls, which would lead me to believe he was the more senior of the two pilots that day. He directed co-pilot Crooks to declare an emergency and request a diversion to Raleigh-Durham International Airport for landing. The NTSB report says that the pilot flying told the NTSB investigators that Crooks became upset about 20 minutes into the diversion to RDU after conducting the final approach and emergency landing checklist. The plane's pilot in command told NTSB investigators that his co-pilot, an experienced pilot and flight instructor, 23-year-old Charles Hugh Crooks, became visibly upset about the hard landing in the minutes after they diverted to RDU for an emergency landing. Crooks, who had been in control during the botched landing attempt, opened his side cockpit window at 3,500 feet and may have gotten sick. He then lowered the ramp in the back of the airplane, indicating that he felt like he was going to be sick and needed some air. According to the report, Crooks got up from his seat, removed his headset, apologized to the pilot for his error, and, quote, departed the airplane by leaping from the ramp door. Crooks, of course, did not have a parachute and was found in a backyard in the small town of Arena, North Carolina. Earlier this month, 911 calls from two unnamed FAA employees was released. One FAA agent told 911 that the pilot on board had apparently told them at the time that Crooks had jumped out of the aircraft. He said, "We have a pilot that was inbound to the field who said that his co-pilot jumped out of the aircraft. He made impact with the ground and here are the coordinates. All we can do is recovery at this point," the FAA personnel told 911. "I don't know what else to do. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard of." However, in the 40-minute exchange between the unidentified pilot and the air traffic control, there was no mention or hint of Crooks falling from the airplane. The pilot can be heard saying, "Emergency, we've lost our right wheel. We would like to proceed to Raleigh and make a landing at Raleigh," he adds. "We have 2 persons on board and we have enough fuel to last us for the next 4 hours. The pilot told the tower that the right wheel had fallen off in the air after the hard landing attempt. And obviously, I'm assuming this communication happened before the co-pilot departed the aircraft. "We were attempting to land," the pilot said. "We made contact with the ground and had a hard landing and decided to go around. And at that point, we lost the wheel." When air traffic control questioned how they intended to land, the pilot said, "Going to go as slow as we can, and I guess we're going to put it on the belly." He then repeated that the plane's right wheel had fallen off. As for the lost co-pilot Crooks, the 23-year-old's father told the Daily Mail that flying was his son's lifelong dream and that he was a former flight instructor who was certified to fly in all types of conditions. Crooks told WRAL that Crooks had recently told him how he wouldn't trade places with anybody in the world. He loved where he was. So that's the latest on a really odd and sad aviation tragedy. Now, I know many are going to question why the pilot didn't tell the tower that his co-pilot had jumped, and some may think there may be a more nefarious reason for that. And who knows, that could be true. However, I'm guessing since the pilot apparently already called 911 from the air, the pilot was just concerned with saving his own life and getting the crippled aircraft back on the ground, knowing there will be plenty of time to explain to authorities once he was safely on the ground. Also, the pilot may have intentionally not told ATC on the radio, knowing how public the communications are, and not wanting the world to get the news before his family could be notified. But I'm just throwing out possible assumptions. And as for Crooks, if he truly did jump out of embarrassment or shame, don't judge him too harshly either. Who knows what his struggle has been lately, and sometimes things just happen that have no explanation. So I'm looking forward to your comments on the subject. Are you a pilot? A flight instructor, or maybe you've been a skydiver and can shed some light from that point of view. So please be sure to let me know down below. And on your way out, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and ring the bell. And as for my typical sign-off, I think I'll forego that this time just for this one video. Just seems like the right thing to do. This is Maximus. I'll see you next time.